Hey there, you found Off the Water, the premier kayak fishing show for the Gulf Coast. We interview the best anglers to find out what they did, where they went, and what they used. Fishing reports, cool products and accessories, upcoming kayak tournaments, kayak safety, rigging tips and tricks, sponsor highlights, club member specials, and more, all on Off the Water, live and podcast. And now, here's your host of Off the Water, Mr. Sean Rastanis. Hey there, you found...
Hey guys, sorry about that. Little bit of technical difficulties there. I think we got it running now. Let me see here. I just want to make sure that it is running up there and everybody can see. We're going to give it a few minutes to let everybody join. And we've got 15, 17 people looking right now. I'm going to go ahead and add in Bayou Coast President Jonathan Carter to the stream. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing?
Hey, y'all. What's up? How's it going?
Good. Let me go ahead and bring in Josh Lewis, Tournament Director for Paddlepalooza and Fallen Tide, to the stream here. Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Good, man. What's going on, everybody?
Good. So is it all running on y'all's end as far as the on Facebook? Looks like it is now, from what I can tell.
Yeah, I think everything's good as long as all the audio video is good.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the link posted as a comment on the original thread here. So y'all are free to join in. Okay, guys. So welcome back. Darth Yacker, Sean Rastanis here. Thank y'all for joining us for another night. This is going to be a busy night for sure. So just want to thank everybody. We do have a couple of announcements before we get into the meat of everything. First, we'd like to announce that Trout Challenge is coming up here in 3 weeks, I think, April 15th. April 15th, it's going to be down in St. Bernard Parish along with Lake Pontchartrain. If y'all haven't been watching the Facebook, social media lately, they've been catching some trout out of the bridges out there already. Could be a great place to go. Of course, you're going to have the dam in Hopedale, Lena Lagoon, all the regular spots over there in April. That'll be a CPR tournament or CPS. You're allowed to keep the trout if you want to, or you can submit them. Maybe keep some of those little small fryers and throw away the big girls. Get back out there. So, that'll be April 15th. We are going to have the award ceremony at No Wake Outfitters with our new sponsor, Justin Lang and No Wake. We're going to have the award ceremony over there, and we'll be announcing some details on that soon, maybe giving some reports probably another week or so in that regard. This weekend, we do have a tournament, which is the Bass Bash on Bienvenue. That's for Swamp Country Kayak Fishing Club. That's going to be on Bayou Bienvenue Saturday. That's also a CPR tournament. Should be a lot of fun. If you can, yes, there is grass over there, no doubt about it. There's also grass in Reggio. There's also grass in Hotel and Shell Beach. You just got to figure out how to maneuver through it. But man, once you find those bass, it's going to be a good time. So y'all come out. We got the award ceremony there. It's a shotgun launch. And with all of our bass tournaments, you guys out there, you can use your motors out there on those bass tournaments per BASS rules. So, Jonathan, I know we've got something else coming up after Trout Challenge, but before Paddlepalooza, and that's with Academy and Heroes in the Water. Maybe touch on that a little bit.
Right. Yeah. So first, thanks to everybody who showed up for Boats on the Bayou, the City Park Big Bass Rodeo. We had a really good turnout. There was a lot of people there, I'm sure. Y'all saw several of the posts throughout the week leading up to there. And then I think Eric Mahobrak had a good summation with a lot of the pictures kind of showing off what it was. I know it seems like it's probably a small little deal, and it, probably started off that way. But it's a really big, cool event. I know we had a lot of people from the club there. And a lot of people supporting it. Thanks to Massey's for supporting that and sponsoring that event as well. It's a good, fun event to go, hang out, fish a little bit. But yeah, so April 8th, we have a combined event with Heroes on the Water, the New Orleans chapter. We have been working with Academy in the background. They're going to sponsor the Heroes on the Water New Orleans chapter first thing in the morning. Everybody's going to be able to go in there, shop, get some supplies for their club and their organization. And then we're going to head down to Port Sulphur behind the high school. I don't know if any of y'all have been fishing there recently, but they've redone a lot over there. It's a really, really nice space. So we're going to have everybody down there. We're going to go fishing, hang out. There will be food provided and everything. And I know we've posted some links and everything. I would just ask. I know we've gotten a lot of people have reached out in regards to doing this, both as a veteran and then also as a volunteer to help out. I love the support. One thing I would just ask is if y'all plan on going, please sign up through the link that we put up so that we can track how many people are coming, so we can be prepared for that. And then additionally, especially if you're going to volunteer, whether it's, something as simple as helping unload the kayaks, rig up rods, that kind of stuff, or if you actually want to go in the water and fish with some of the guys and girls too, it gets you on their insurance, just to keep everybody straight. So if y'all will just use that, and we'll keep posting on that for sure as we get closer and closer to the date. But that should be a really good time. Really looking forward to doing, something a little bit different for the club and hopefully make it an annual thing. And they have a lot of other events throughout the year as well. We'll continue to support them.
Okay. And guys, I just posted the link on here for if you want to join in to ask questions and comments. What I would say first is give us a chance to go through. I know most of you are on here because of the announcement we made earlier in the week about some changes being made to Paddlepalooza. And we'd ask that let us get through it first, and then we'll gladly welcome anybody on to ask questions, to make any comments they have. That's why we did this tonight, and we want to give everybody the opportunity to give us your thoughts. So let's go ahead and Jonathan, I don't know if you or Josh, one of y'all want to go ahead and maybe give us an update on what's going on with Paddlepalooza.
Yeah, I'll provide a little background first, if that's okay with you, Josh.
Yep.
Yeah, so first, I know we're going to have a lot of people that are watching this live, and then also we're going to go back and watch it to get a recap on, what's going on. So there's going to be a lot of new people looking at this as well. So I want to kind of start, from the background. So what is Paddlepalooza? In the club, Bayou Coast, we have essentially two different tournament series, if you will. One being the championship series, which is driven to be, we want people to be members of the club. As being a member of the club, you get to fish these events, gain AOI points, and then qualify for the championship at the end of the year, where we have, multiple kayaks, big prizes that roll over essentially from tournament to the championship at the end of the year. Just to be clear, you don't have to be a member to fish those, but if you want to accrue the AOI points, qualify for the championship, you do have to be a member for that. And then the other, more geared to be more of a fun get-together type tournament, is Paddlepalooza and Fall and Tide. Paddlepalooza is hosted in the spring. Fall and Tide is hosted in the fall, obviously. Historically, we've always had Paddlepalooza down Highway 1, usually out of Ridgeside Marina, and Tide on Highway 23. It's kind of moved around a little bit between, I think, Cypress Cove Marina is where we used to do it, and then recently we've been doing it more so at Delta Marina, as most of y'all are aware of. But the past couple of years have been, really challenging, especially for those big tournaments. I see people commenting on there. All right, so hey guys, if y'all are going to comment on there, if you can, just click that link and put your name in there so we know who's commenting, so we can call you out. And if y'all want to share your opinions later live, we can pull you in. I just want to give some background. We'll get to the chase here in just a second. I know why everybody's here. Where's that? So Paddlepalooza, great tournament. We usually get a ton of people show up. It's a fun, super fun weekend, hangout, fish fest with a lot of prizes, big raffle, all that. People who are familiar know it. If you're not familiar, you can talk with some of the other members that can tell you how much fun it is. And we want to make sure that fun continues, and we want to continue growing that event. The past couple of years, for both Paddlepalooza and Fall and Tide, it's been challenging with both COVID and the hurricanes. And I know nobody wants to hear, about that. So we're not going to talk about that. We just want to drive more people to fish these events and see how much fun they are. So with that, the board has been talking for a while, as we always are, about things that we can do and change to try to, entice people to come fish, try to change things up a little bit here and there. And you see that in a lot of the stuff we do. We're always trying to do different stuff. So with that, we proposed some changes as the board voted on these changes, and a couple of them for Paddlepalooza. Is that your new play, Sean?
It is.
And a couple of these have passed, and we wanted to discuss this with everybody and open it up. This is always a discussion, and I just want everybody to be clear and understand that we as the board realize that we serve the Bayou Coast Kayak Fishing Club and its members first and foremost, above all everything else. So take that with a grain of salt. I know there might be some salty people out there right now that may have heard some rumors, true or not true. So we'll dispel all that here in just a second. But first, wanted to start off by saying, if you want to help the club out and you want to be a part of helping run the club, we are always welcome to having people nominated for officer positions, or we can also have subcommittees that we can set up to help. I think the past couple of years we haven't had anybody nominated or anything for positions outside of whatever people already in the board or express interest before the nominations open up. That usually happens in October or November, usually between Fall and Tide and the championship. So keep an eye open for that. I always would like to see more and more people get involved with that. There's a lot that goes into running the club. I know past officers know how much goes into that. So I just want y'all to realize that. So first change. This is definitely more on the smaller scale of things. So historically, for Paddlepalooza and Fall and Tide, we do five spots, I think, paid for the big fish categories, being redfish, trout, flounder. It's a slam tournament, if you're not aware. And then 5 spots for leopard redfish. One of the changes that we're going to make for this year is we're going to gear the payout more towards slam places. So in the past, it's been dependent on, how many people sign up for the tournament. I think it's usually about 5% of the field or so gets paid as slam places, and then everybody else gets big fish prizes if, they qualify for them. And whatever the biggest prize is, monetary value, that's what people get. So one of the changes is going to be we're going to pay 10% of the slam places. So a lot more slam places are going to get paid. For the big fish categories, we're still going to do 3 places for each of the big fish categories. Leopard red, we're just going to bring that down to 1 place. Whoever gets the most spots on a redfish, congrats, you're going to get a nice prize for that. With that, for the slam position, you don't have to catch a slam to win the prize. It's just whoever has the highest placement. So the way we do it is if you catch 3 fish, a 3-fish limit is always worth more than 2 fish, 2 fish more than 1 fish. We actually had Breck win, I think last year before last, with only 2 fish. So he won Paddlepalooza without a slam. I don't think that's going to happen based on the way the flounder fishing and everything's been for the past couple of years. But that's the way we're going to do it for this year and try that out and see how that goes. And then
I kind of like that change. I'll be honest. I caught a slam last year. I didn't get dilly squat.
That was what kind of brought it up. I think we had 20 something slams get caught at Fall and Tide. That's unprecedented. And a lot of those people didn't get a prize for it because, they had a smaller slam, or even there were a lot of really good slams that were caught that, nobody got a prize because they just didn't get high enough. So I think hopefully this will help that out. And Paddlepalooza is still going to be the same big event it always is. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a great hangout. You're going to have food both nights. We're going to have a big raffle. It's going to be the same deal. The big major change that passed, and this is something that comes up every single year.
Jonathan, real quick before you go on to that, just to clarify, it's so however many people we get entered, top 10% will be paid on the slams. So if we have 150 people, that's going to be 15 places for slams?
Yes. Correct. So it'd be 15 places for slams, and then you'd have another 9 people get prizes for big fish, plus 1 more for
leopard red.
Leopard red, yeah. So it'd be 20, that's nice. It'd be 25 prizes total. So realistically, over 20% of the field's going to walk away with something.
Just to add a little comment, I really like that because you figure if you go out and you catch a slam, you get your red, you trot, your flounder, you do your best, and you catch that slam, and then you finish, just outside that, you finish like in ninth place, and you're only paying 8. But someone who caught a freaking 7 spotted redfish is, taking home $100 or $150. Yeah, I kind of like it. I think it's a good change, but again, just so everybody knows, I think, Jonathan, you mentioned this earlier. This is a trial run for Paddlepalooza this year, seeing how it works out, seeing how everybody feels about it, and then changes can be made. It can be tweaked or modified or whatever, but it's a trial run. All the changes are for a trial this year to see see if we can boost attendance. So, Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, all good. No, so the next thing that's coming up is the big change. Everybody says I don't think it's that big of a change. I think some people probably would wager to say it's a big change, but we'll let everybody talk and we can work that out however we need to. But for Paddlepalooza, the board has voted and recommends and intends to allow motors for Paddlepalooza. This is something that is discussed at length every single year for a lot of different tournaments. We want to try to start this year with Paddlepalooza as a trial run and see how it goes. I know there's going to be, I've had a ton of people reach out. Unfortunately, you know how fishermen are. We like to tell stories and exaggerate and things, but I've had a tremendous amount of messages from everybody in the club, I feel like, today. So I do appreciate the engagement a lot. That's something that, we always try to strive for. So we want to try to change it up, see what people think, and, we'll go from there. And this is open for discourse, just like everything always is in the club. We're a family. We get to fish and hang out. So I know that's not going to be the most popular thing for everybody. Some people are going to be really excited. Some people are not going to be so excited. So that's why we wanted to have the podcast tonight, was to open that up for discussion. And, of course, we will continue to talk about this up until Paddlepalooza. So y'all feel free to call in and talk about, whatever you want.
No, I'm looking at some of the comments. No, you can't sign up with your boat. There are restrictions on the motors. It's got to be electric motor. It's got to be a certain horsepower. Most of what I think are in the rules, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, are you going to have your Newport, your Torpedo, but also trolling motors, things of that nature. We have a number of people, actually, for y'all that don't know, but we have calls every year from people with disabilities that want to fish the tournament, but want to know if they could use a motor. Also, we have some older people. I'll be honest with you, for Paddlepalooza, and Jonathan and I have talked this at length, and some of the other people, I don't necessarily know that it's going to make that big of a difference because of the fact that you're not really fishing that far. I mean, in Grand Isle, you don't need a motor. If you're someone like Doug, who's won multiple times, he's not going to use a motor. I mean, he's changing spots 4 or 5 times. It's a pain in the butt to use a motor unless you're going long distances, and it's a one-way trip there and a one-way trip back. That's just my thoughts. I honestly don't plan on using a motor for Paddlepalooza, unless I guess I was crossing Catfish Lake. It'd be about the only difference. But I think in May, you're not going to need it. But anyway, maybe let you guys can talk about why the decision was made to allow motors for this one event this year, just to see how it plays out.
Well, real quick, I want to touch on a comment somebody made that says allow electric motors, but not eligible for Angler of the Year. These 2 events, you don't gain Angler of the Year points. So allowing electric motors won't change that at all. Again, these are 2 standoff tournaments that are separate from our Angler of the Year series.
Yeah, and again, the intent for making this change is to try to invite those people who have motors that maybe don't have a pedal kayak, especially, to come participate with us. Like Sean said, every tournament we have a lot of people that reach out that want to allow having motors for the tournaments. For whatever reason that might be. I personally can tell you that I've had a motor since they started really even coming out. I think maybe me and Francis were probably some of the first people that ever had motors, Torpedoes to be specific. And I can tell you just from the past 2 years of having that, my fishing performance has gone down. So I know obviously causation, it's not that big a deal. It's a one-off tournament. We want to trial it, see what people think, see how it goes, see if we get some new faces show up. And those who have motors before, they can use them if they want on tournament day, or they don't have to. And I would venture to say that I think that the same usual suspects that do well in the tournament will probably still do well whether or not they have a motor. But the intent is to try to see who else may come and fish our tournaments with this. It's a one-time deal. If people are really upset by it and they really don't want to do it, they don't want to fish against people with motors, I could understand that as well. And we'll go back to no motors. It's not that big a deal either way, I don't think. I don't think you're going to see a super big change in how the standings are going to shake up. A couple of the people who do really well in the tournaments have voiced their opinion to me that makes me think that maybe they might be a little bit scared that other people might have some motors. But I mean, I think you'll see a lot of people that do have motors don't have motors. One thing I did want to get out there is if I had this question come up with a couple different people, if you're wanting to get a motor for your kayak, regardless of whatever it is, you do have to register your kayak just like you do with a boat once you have a motor on it. The law states for Louisiana, you basically submit the normal form that you would submit to register your boat. And for kayaks, you're going to have what's called an MSO, which is the manufacturer's stated origin, which is basically showing that the kayak was bought and purchased and is not homemade. You'll see the rules that are going to come out are going to have stipulations. So you're not going to be able to fish from a boat with a trolling motor. You're not going to have, crazy vessels out there. It's going to be a kayak with an electric motor that is within reason and properly registered. In the event that you want to have a trolling motor for the event, then all you have to do is submit the paperwork, and you'll see when you submit the paperwork that you retain a copy of that paperwork, and that is your registration until your official numbers come in. So that is what makes you legal on the water. If you're stopped by a game warden or somebody asks for it, it's really, it's not that difficult. At the stage that some of the kayaks are getting to nowadays, I mean, some people I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that some of the kayaks that are out there right now wouldn't be considered basically a small John boat as it is, the PAs, the Titans, and some of the other big kayaks. But anyways, we wanted to present this to everybody, say, exactly why we wanted to make this change, get feedback from the club, from all the members, see what y'all think. So if anybody, I don't know if anybody called in and wants to discuss live with their thoughts on it or anything, but we're here, want to talk, want to try to understand, what people's thoughts are for, against, whatever, indifferent, and, go from there.
One thing we could bring up, and I think actually this made a huge difference. Eventually, look, if it's not today and it may be a couple of years down the road, motors on kayaks are probably going to be commonplace. 10, 15 years ago when they switched from paddles to the pedal drive, I know Brendan was probably one of the first guys to get a pedal drive kayak down here. And a pedal drive kayak is, at least in my opinion, far superior, gives you much more of an advantage than a paddle kayak as compared to a motor to a pedal drive. It's a big deal having a pedal drive, having a motor. Actually, in with the motor kayak, if you have one, which I do and Jonathan has, and you don't really navigate with it. You can go straight, but you're not turning left and right. It can be a real pain actually trying to navigate sometimes. Is it helpful going long distances? Absolutely. Is it helpful going against the wind? Absolutely. Does it make you a better fisherman? Absolutely not. I think that's some of the things that the board looked into there were some people out there we thought, at least the board thought, would maybe fish. We would increase participation by allowing motors. But certainly it's up for debate, and that's why it's being discussed right now. So I think we have I think Justin is on. So let's add him to the stream and see what he has to say. Hey Justin, you there? Justin? Well, he is not. He is silent. Look, so guys, we posted the link. If anyone wants to come on, comment, give your opinion, ask questions, now is the time to do it. I see a lot of comments. Why don't you come on and share your opinion and voice your concerns if you have any? That's why we did this tonight. So y'all can come on anytime.
Somebody posted a comment saying how many officers have electric motors. I believe out of the 9, only 2 do.
That would be me and Jonathan, I think.
Yeah, I do not have a motor. I have used them before. I find that there are advantages and disadvantages to using them. I will not be fishing Paddlepalooza with a motor, but I did vote to allow them strictly for the fact that I do think we can touch a member base that would be interested in using them. And ultimately, our goal is to try to grow this club and try to increase participation in kayak fishing in general. I believe that is our goal as a club. We want to pass along the love of the sport, have people come hang out with us, fish with us, and ultimately felt like this was a change that could make that happen.
So I actually have a motor, and I by the time I got around to voting, it really didn't matter. It already passed. I don't at this point plan on using one. There are certain places I would consider using it. I think Jonathan and I had both purchased our motors because we do a lot of bass fishing. And when you go in these bass fishing tournaments, you're spending a lot of money. You're pre-fishing for 3 days. You're covering a lot of water. And basically, you're 3 days pre-fishing, 2 days tournaments. So you're looking at 4 to 5 days at a minimum, and your legs just get burnt out. So anyway, I think, look, we've got Jerry Cottrell on here. Let's add him in. Let's get his comments. Hey, Jerry, how you doing, man?
Doing good, guys. What's going on?
Thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for coming on. You're the first one to come on live and tell us your thoughts. But love to hear what you have to say. That's what we're doing this.
I guess I just, the motor thing is not that big of a deal to me. I can't say I necessarily agree with it, only because I know some of the guys that go really hard and pre-fish hard, like myself and others. It's a huge advantage if I can just roll out, and get somewhere when the goal is to win the tournament. I think that's what we're all trying to do. I guess really more, the more I'm sitting here thinking about it, the diluting, I guess, the top 10% of finishes for the same reason. Like, anybody do the math on what the 4th place would have been at last year's Paddlepalooza, paying out the top 15%? Or was it 10%? We're moving from 5% to 10%.
I think before what we had
it was
a scaled thing. Like if you had 1 to 100, they paid out so many. Over 100 to 125, they paid out so many. I don't think it was a percentage necessarily per se. I could be wrong, but that's how I recall it.
Yeah, just for instance, like for Paddlepalooza last year, we had, or it was either Paddlepalooza or Fallen Tide. Same thing from the prize standpoint. We had 120 people fish and sign up, and we paid 7 slam spots. I think 7, maybe 8 slam spots.
Yeah, I think there was like 14 fish caught at that. Like last year, that was the one at Delta Marina.
Yeah. No. This was at Bridgeside, so this would have been Fallen Tide because we swapped them last year.
Right.
There was 7 spots paid, I believe, and basically the way the payouts worked were at 7th place. I think the prize was like $500 or something like that, maybe. And the big fish prizes started off at $450, basically just a little bit less. So it was the top 7 slams got their paycheck in order, and then after that, it was just whoever was big fish. But
That sounds good. I don't really have a gripe. I just want to come on and say hi. I know nobody else was really coming on to say like you said, I see a lot of comments like I oppose it all the way 100%. I think it's cool. I think it goes without saying that it should always been, for injured, handicapped, disabled, whatever. My only issue, and I don't even think it really is an issue, I'm still going to fish the way I fish. You still going to fish the way you fish, is, people that like to put distance. It's a huge advantage, like if you're leaving from Joshua's Marina and you want to go to the barrier islands south of it, you're going to get there a lot faster, with your Torquedo than I will just huffing and puffing.
Yeah, you could also get trapped out there and not catch a slam and waste your whole day.
That's true.
Yeah.
I've done that before too.
I've done that many times.
Yeah.
That's I mean, people who have motors, and maybe some people who don't understand that they're not as big of an advantage. That there have been a couple of people who reached out to me that I guess they think for some reason a motor is like a golden bullet, that if you have a motor, you're going to win the tournament. I'm here to tell you that's not the case, and that's not going to happen, because a lot of the people who have motors already pre-fish with them, and if they're a hardcore fisherman and they pre-fish them for 2-3 days beforehand, they're using the motor the whole 2-3 days, and then all they do tournament day is they know where they're going, they pedal out there or paddle out there or whatever, and they go catch the same fish they would have caught whether they had a motor or not.
Motors aren't always as fast as a lot of people may think. I've seen plenty of people keep up pedaling with people that have motors. There's some people out there that can pedal really fast. Of course, having a motor, you're going to be able to not tie your legs out. You're going to be able to go further. But
right.
I don't think it necessarily means somebody can get to a fishing spot quicker than someone without a motor.
I'm trying to read through some of the comments here. See the difference between a boat with a trolling motor versus a kayak. I mean, you're in a lot smaller vessel, I guess, would be, and you're not going to go nearly as fast. I guess it would be maybe the same as fishing out of a little 14-foot aluminum boat with a trolling motor on the front. You'd basically be the same thing as fishing out of a PA.
Yeah, so, historically disabled and folks over 72 were allowed motors. I don't really know if we ever came down on the disabled. Personally, I've always liked lowering the age for motors for all tournaments to people who were 60 and older and disabled. I don't think it gives them that big of advantage. It's been something that's brought up a couple of times, but as Butch Ridgedale constantly points out, he's over 60, and he's still kicking people's asses on a regular basis in a lot of tournaments without a motor. Although I think he did recently buy a motor,
No, Trevor posted and said something. He said, the Southeast Louisiana Kayak Fishing Club, they had a tournament. That was back in January. And I'm pretty sure everyone that finished at the top, nobody had a motor, and probably 60% of the people that were there had motors, myself included, until I destroyed it on a oyster bed. And then I happily pedaled myself back to the marina. Let me see.
All right, guys, I'm going to go back to the lobby and listen. I love the club. I'll see you at the next one.
I appreciate it, Joe. We hope to see you at you gonna fish by EB Avenue this weekend?
No, man, my work schedule doesn't allow me to hit all the events that I want to.
It's tough. It's tough, man.
But tough. Just the AOY, I'm just like looking at it, like how you window shop when you go to the store.
Yeah.
I keep looking at the AOY and just thinking about it, trying it on,
You thinking for Trout Challenge, we might see you out at the bridges?
It depends. I mean, if the winds get anywhere close to 40, I won't be there, but maybe, like I could probably do 30s.
Yeah, 30 be good. You just get behind those pilings and you fish real close to the bridge and you jig. And if the wind's coming from the north, you fish the north, and wind's coming from the south, you fish the south side.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, take care.
All right.
Bye.
Looking to see. Ben asked, can people with motors drag us without? Brendan, bring it on, Brendan. I mean, I guess that's not considered mothership because it's not a gas engine, maybe.
I don't know.
Have a tow line with people. That's a good point.
I am going to make a bold prediction here and say that the top 2 finishers at Paddlepalooza will not be using a motor if they're, will not be using a motor.
I can almost guarantee you, especially for Paddlepalooza, whoever wins and the people who finish in the top, even if they have a motor, it's not because they have a motor, because you got to think about the strategy of fishing the tournament, and a motor does not bode super well for Paddlepalooza for that. But again, I don't want to downplay. I mean, a motor can be a big advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Can be, I think, is the key word.
Yeah.
We're going to try it out. Sure, people will be upset. Some people won't be. Some people will be excited. Maybe we get some new people in. Maybe people get their eyes open to, what a motored kayak is, what that's like, and see.
Yeah, I encourage members to, if you haven't used one, find a member that does have one, get some of their viewpoints on them, see what they think. I think it could be eye-opening for a few people to get some viewpoints from people that do have them and use them on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, bass fishing, when we fish these big tournaments and these lakes, it's invaluable, the amount of distance you can cover. But then, look, you've got someone like, I know not a lot of Bayou Coast guys know him, but Andy Green. Not only does he not have a motor, he doesn't even have a pedal drive kayak. And he is consistently placing, and doing well in a lot of tournaments. He is a great fisherman, and he uses a old paddle kayak to fish out of. So, it's a lot more about the fisherman than it is the power. But again, saves your legs.
It's just a tool, it's no different than a fish finder, a power pole, top-notch rod and reels. It's just another tool in your arsenal that you can use to assist in your fishing day. It's not going to guarantee you to catch a slam. It's not going to guarantee you to get you to the right fishing spot. It's
having pedals on your kayak is a far larger advantage than having a paddle kayak versus having a motor on your kayak. Yeah. And it's not even close. I've seen a couple of people post it looks like they're talking about money, barrier to entry, I guess, things like that. If you look on Facebook Marketplace, you can get a trolling motor with a battery for $150. It's not a money thing. If somebody wants to put a motor on their kayak, they're going to put a motor on their kayak. There's a ton of people out there that have an Ascend kayak with a trolling motor on it that they probably got or paid less than $1,000 for, a quarter or a third of the price of a lot of the Hobies that people are running, or other pedal kayaks for that matter. Yeah. Somebody said people pass up fish to look for fish all the time. Yeah, and a prime example of that was at Minimalist. I can't remember his name. The guy who got third place caught all his fish at the very last minute, right next to the ramp.
Right next to the ramp.
You could have caught him from the bank.
The guy who won Bassmaster on Possum Kingdom caught him at the ramp. Literally at the ramp, was fishing a drop off at the ramp 2 years ago at Bassmaster. You're right. People pass the fish all the time to look for fish. And here's the thing. For people that don't have motors, it's a straight run with a motor. If you're turning or moving, it's completely worthless. If I need to turn my kayak at all, I have to put the motor in neutral. I have to pull it up out the water, steer my kayak to the right, drop it back down, and go again. So unless you're going in a straight line for a long distance, then you're better off pedaling or paddling, because you're not going to maneuver through a canal, through the marsh, or anything like that with a motor. Not the way they're set up. Oh, we got Mr. Bayard on here. Let's bring him on. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Howdy. How y'all doing?
What's up, man?
Hey, Brendan, how are you doing, man?
Not many people.
I'm in the garage, so if I have my hat on the right way, I got a big shadow over my face. So I turned it backwards. How y'all doing?
Good, man.
First, I want to say I appreciate you guys for everything you do for the club. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. I am not in favor of motors. I think the club has a long established history of being a great place for people to come and kind of both do their thing with human powered vessels and creativity. And, at first, when we first started doing this, people were making anchors with bricks and, just kind of homemade contraptions. And then now all of a sudden we're kind of in, 360 drives and torpedoes. And I'm just as guilty as anybody because I have it all. But at the same time, I think it puts kind of a premium on the perceived fairness to everything,
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a turnoff to a lot of people. So
That's a good point. That's a good point, Brendan.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. I want to mention that I understand both sides of the discussion. I don't want to call it an argument, a discussion. I mean, there's fair points on both. Ultimately, we just want to try to include everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think nobody has an issue with people that are, needing of some sort of ability adjustment based on a motor, like they are, they have a bum knee or they're old or whatever, it's just like, and they want to keep participating. They want to stay young and they want to be out with everybody and doing the things. And, they can't go more than a couple of miles or else they'll feel like trash the next week. So yeah, give them a motor. And I think now you're going to see people exploit the rule to the fullest. Because, I mean, as a younger Brendan would totally, be planning my attack to go to West Timbalier for first thing in the morning to catch my biggest trout, race back to, Bell Pass, then still have time to go out to Four Bayou Pass or wherever I need to go if I have that motor. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but we'll find out this May, I suppose.
Just wait till that torpedo hits one of those submerged rocks out there in Timbalier, and you'll see how fun it is.
I always get a little nervous when I go too far or something, because the battery. I mean, if you run that thing full blown, that battery's going to run out, and you'll be stuck 7 miles out and pedaling back.
I mean, the main reason I got it was to, fish for fun on some further places. To be fair, I haven't even used it yet. I've been with people with torpedoes and they pulled me places. So I decided to get one when the opportunity presented itself. So I was like, yeah, let me try this out. Got some money. So let me give this a go. But I mean, I bring 2 boys with me almost, every time I go. So if I can get them back to the launch without waiting for them to paddle and hook them up to bow lines on the back of my kayak, that's what I'm hoping this advantage is going to be for. But it just so happens that y'all are making this rule, and now I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do now that I have this motor? And I don't know. I think you're not going to have to manage your time as much as you used to with these slam tournaments if you have a motor.
I mean, so you haven't used it yet?
No.
Yeah. And when you fish Paddlepalooza, do you go out far? Are you doing 4 or 5 miles?
Usually my first spot's very far, just because I want to go to a non-pressured area and try to get the first fish knocked out of the way, which is usually a trout. You don't want to fish a bunch of places that people have been beating up for like the last week on your first spot for Paddlepalooza. Now you can, if you have a motor, you can go to some of these places I've been talking about. And there's many, many more that I haven't mentioned, but I think it's going to make a difference on the trout for sure. And you used to have these situations where people would say, hey, I'm going to start at Catfish Lake. And then they go to the other side of Catfish Lake and they kind of took a gamble. And then they kind of are forced to fish that because, they went all the way across Catfish Lake. Now they're like, oh, well, I'll just, get back to the launch in 15 minutes because I can, burn my battery and then pedal for the rest of the day.
You ain't getting back to the launch in 15 minutes. Let me tell you, you cross Catfish. Look, at the most, I think Jonathan and I caught the tide and the wind at our back, and we were pushing 6 miles an hour with a torpedo, in and out back. So average, you're averaging maybe 3 or 4 miles an hour. Look, it's the same speed that Steve does in his outback.
Yeah.
Steve could keep up with a torpedo pedaling. It's just that you don't wear down the legs. That's the big advantage. You're just not going to wear them down.
What about the safety issue of people going out to Four Bayou Pass that have no business doing that and being in some places where there's other kayakers not able to help them?
Yeah, they absolutely shouldn't do that.
Okay. Well, I think you're going to get situations like that. I would suggest that if anybody goes that far, they have a buddy with them. I think you're not going to see a huge impact here at Paddlepalooza, but for Fallen Tide, 100% you're going to see the top of the field very affected by motors, because you're going to be able to go out to Shell Beach. You're going to go out to Schofield Bay, all these places that are unreachable from, our kayaks right now. But with these motors, it's going to totally change the field down Highway 23.
I'm writing these places down as you speak. Where are the other places that people will be going with the motors for Falling Tide?
I'll send you my Venmo later and give you a list.
Look, if it's within 4 miles, you can reach that pedaling easily.
Sure. And I regularly paddle 4 or 5 miles one direction on these tournaments, at least for my first spot, almost every time. But I
know one board member covered like 18 miles for Minimalist Challenge the other day. At Minimalist, 18 miles.
I mean, you have time to
3
do
hours.
it for sure. It's planning and it's pacing yourself, and it's all possible without a motor. It's just so much easier with a motor.
Sometimes
that's all I have to say, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brendan. We appreciate your comments and your input.
Brendan.
It's always good to get a historical perspective.
Historical.
Is that a nice word for old?
Yeah.
Old.
Well, no, I'm actually
Got the gray now.
Brendan has been with the club since the very beginning, or pretty much close to the beginning. So it's always good to hear what people like Brendan have to say. And Mr. Eubanks, Tommy Eubanks, he's watching. He does not like the idea of the trolling motor. Okay.
I see a couple other questions too.
Yeah.
Let me see. Something about not being able to turn. Yeah, if you have a torpedo or a stern mounted trolling motor, if you don't have foot control and you're going slow, you can't turn with it. Now, if you have a troll motor in the front, yeah, you can turn with it. I see a crazy electric outboard motor somebody posted. So yeah, guys, there are going to be some very stringent rules, just as there are in all the kayak series, which is the vast majority of the kayak series that allow trolling motors. I think the rule is basically it has to be below 150 pounds of thrust, less than 3 horsepower, has to be appropriately rated for the kayak. Your kayak has to be rated for it so that you can safely attach it to the kayak. The kayak has to be properly registered. Below 18 feet. So basically you could put a motor on one of the twin seater Hobie kayaks. I don't know if I'm missing anything else, but yeah, people aren't going to be showing up at the ramp with an aluminum boat and a giant electric outboard motor. Those are not going to be allowed.
And again,
no electric motors only, no gas engines.
And again, I just want to stress, this is just for Paddlepalooza. This has not been approved for any other tournaments. This is just a trial run to see how it goes, to see the effect, and decisions will be made thereafter.
It's all an experiment.
Right.
Essentially, it's just, will, and certainly there will be people that may choose not to fish it. I don't think that's a great decision because, again, I don't think someone with a motor is going to be the person that wins Paddlepalooza. I honestly don't. But still understand the distinction between a 17-foot PA and a 16-foot aluminum flatboat with a trolling motor. I don't know anyone fishing in a 17-foot PA. Maybe doubles if it's a tandem. So, well, look, we've only had 2 people come on. There's a lot of comments going on. Click on the link. Let me post it again. Click on the link. Come on. Give us your opinion. This is why we're doing this. We want to hear from everybody that has a concern. Jonathan, was there any other changes we were discussing?
No, there were some other things that were brought up, but were not voted in favor of.
Well, look, guys, we're going to give it another minute or two for everyone to come on and comment. And if not, we'll go ahead and shut it down. But we really would like to hear from y'all. Can one legally use a rowboat to fish this tournament?
I don't see why not.
I will say this. Robert Burkhart, he won star
with a
using a canoe. So, Motorpalooza. Well, let's what else do we have going on? We've got Navarre. Let's talk about Navarre for a minute while we're getting someone to come on here.
Are motors allowed? That's what I want to know.
What's that?
I said, are motors allowed? That's
no motors are going to be allowed for Navarre. That's my call, and no motors, only because I don't want to take a chance of flipping my kayak and was in my motor, and I will be tempted. We've actually already rented our beach house for Navarre. So if, it's going to be, I think some of us are getting up there Wednesday night. We're staying through Monday. And the tournament will be Saturday, weather permitting. If not, Sunday. Obviously, if both days are unsafe, then we'll issue refunds. But so far right now, it's be Saturday or Sunday. It's going to be a 5 fish. It's going to be a weigh-in tournament. We will announce the species in advance, but it's going to be your typical edible type fish, red snapper, yellow snapper, mahi, cobia, anything in season that most reasonable people would agree are edible, not Jack Crevalle's.
I hear Jack Crevalle's sashimi is quite good.
It is quite good. We have a friend that raves about Jack Crevalle's sashimi. Regardless, we're not gonna. It's gonna be a really good time. We've had a lot of people express interest in fishing it. Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Texas. A lot of people. I think we're gonna have a really good time down there. If you're still looking at doing it, you could plan it as a family vacation. Come up there for 4 or 5 days. Navarre is a great area. It's not overcrowded like some of the other places, like a Destin. The water's absolutely gorgeous. It gets deep real fast. If you've never fished offshore before, Navarre is going to be June 24th, which is a Saturday. Yeah, Saturday or the 25th at Sunday. If you've never fished offshore before, we're going to have a lot of people out there. It's a shotgun launch. Most of us will be fishing in the same general area, which are the reefs, not too far off from the public fishing pier. They're all public numbers. You do not need a lot of equipment to fish this. A lot of times people go out there with 2 fishing rods, terminal equipment, meaning leaders, hooks, and weights. Really all you're going to need. And you want to go light just in case your kayak flips or something and you lose some equipment. You're going to have most everything strapped down. The big thing you're going to need is a depth finder, some type of Lowrance, so you can actually visually see the reef on it. And you don't need a fancy one. I'm telling you, it will light up on your depth finder because you'll see it off the ground, off the hard bottom. So it's going to be a really good time. If you've never done it, there's going to be a lot of guys out there that have been offshore fishing before. I'm pretty sure we're going to have the Florida guys, Benton Parrott, Brandon Barton, Aaron Clay. A lot of those guys are going to be out there, and they're really good about giving out advice. What type of leader material. We're going to have it off the water before then to bring them on, talk about what you need to prepare. Basically, dead bait. You're going to be using cigar minnows. You buy a pack of frozen cigar minnows, you hook it up, you drop it down 60, 80 foot, and you just wait for the red snapper to come on. A group of us went out last year, about 10 of us. We had a really good time. You'll see schools of mahi, you'll see sea turtles. Jonathan's wife hooked into a sailfish last year when she was fishing with Brandon Barton. So you never know when that's going to come across. Austin Johnson has agreed to haul people's kayaks from the pier to the beach for $50 round trip, which is a deal if you've ever hauled your kayak across the sand. So if you're still looking and you're trying to plan some, we're 3 months out, but we've already started planning it. We've been in contact with the the county of Santa Rosa, with the city of Navarre, all of that good stuff. So it's going to be a really good time. Even if you're going to come out, hang out at the beach, drink a couple beers, whatever. But you're only looking at having to go offshore probably. How far are those reefs, Jonathan? About 2 miles?
Yeah, I think they start at like maybe 1.8 miles or something and go out like another mile past that. I mean, there's like 100 of them right there. It's basically the end of the pier. You just follow that out and they're spread out all over the place.
Yeah, and then you're trolling on your way out. So there's king mackerel, there's Spanish mackerel, there's mahi. Last year we went, I caught 2 mahi. Sometimes they'll come in big schools, they'll hit trolling bait. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a good opportunity to get out there. I don't like fishing offshore by myself. I prefer to do it with a group of people, just because it's a different situation. You fall out, you can't really touch the bottom in 80 foot of water. So it's going to be a really good time. Y'all should seriously look into that. Yeah. All right. So if we have no other comments or questions or anybody wanting to come on and join.
Oh, yeah, someone made a good point. They said all the reef numbers are public. Yes, they are. You can go on the Florida Fisheries website, and they have them all posted there. So it definitely helps to have that loaded up on your graph.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar and you want to learn, highly recommend Brandon Barton. We went out with my wife and my sister-in-law. We had a great time.
Yeah, and if you contact them, soon enough, there's a couple of guides out there. Like I said, there's Brandon Barton. I think Benton may do a little bit of guiding. I'm not sure. And then there's Jonathan, who am I know his name. It's escaping me right now. There's somebody else out there. Good guy. He does a lot of the bass tournaments. He also guides out there. They may be able to get you out there. But there's going to be some of us pre-fishing Thursday and Friday. So if you want to come out and just hang out with us, we all ride out together. Hell, we've had 4 or 5 people fish the same damn reef out there, just all dropping baits in a circle. That's how it is. It's a different style, but it's a lot of fun, and it's going to be a good time.
Somebody said they want to come on. Click where's the link at?
Let me post the link again.
Whoever's trying to come on. Sorry, guys. If we're in the little stream, if you didn't allow your name to be posted, we can't tell who's posting. We just see the comments.
There's a way to add yourself. And then, Eric, let me post a link on the Facebook thread. And then you can click it on the link. It's right under the video. I'm putting it on right now for you. So there you go.
Yeah, it looks like Eddie just posted it too.
Okay. So we'll give Mr. Muhobarak the opportunity to come on.
Wow. Yeah, and if anybody wants to take a spin on a kayak that has a motor, I'll bring my motor to Paddlepalooza, and whoever wants to can take it out and try it out.
All right, Eric, you just got to click the link there, buddy. All right, well, technology has fooled him.
Chris, I'll tell you what, if you get the mount on the back of your kayak, you can use my motor on Saturday because I'm not going to use it. I'll take
Me
that.
either. All right, well, I think that's probably everybody that's come on. I don't know if there's any reason to hang on. The viewers are dropping like flies at this point. So, Josh or Jonathan, do y'all have any other comments before we shut it down for the night?
I don't.
Yeah, I just made a post just in the little group chat. If y'all have any other further questions, discussions, anything y'all want, I'm sure not everybody was able to make it tonight. Monday night's usually pretty busy.
Yeah.
So just post up your thoughts there. I tried to keep it all in. We'll try to keep it all in one spot so we can look through everything, see who's saying what and all that kind of stuff. And we'll continue the discussion. And don't be afraid to reach out. If y'all have any questions, any thoughts or anything, let us know. But more importantly, why. We want to know why people think what they do. So just let us know.
All right. Well, guys, we will be back on probably in a week or so for Before Trout Challenge. And we'll talk about the fishing leading up to it. Maybe we'll have a few guys. I know Jack is going to be pre-fishing it quite a bit, a few other guys. So we'll bring a few guys on, talk about maybe they'll give us some advice on where the fish are biting, what they're biting on, and all that good stuff. So thanks, everybody, for joining in tonight, for listening to what the board had to say about the tournament, for offering your comments, your thoughts, your questions, your concerns. And certainly it'll be well considered here in the next few weeks as we get closer to Paddlepalooza on May 6th. Either way, guys, we're going to have a great captain's bag, T-shirts, everything else. There's no reason not to come out and fish it. It's going to be a really good time seeing everybody.
The fishing is going to be phenomenal. The first week of May, there's going to be some giant trout caught, probably plenty of flounder, and some big redfish as always.
Right. Oh, wait. We got him. You figured it out. Let's bring him on.
This is the way to end the night right here.
Captain Ahab himself.
Yeah. Look, guys, look, y'all do a good job with the tournaments and all of that, but I agree with having the handicapped people and the elderly using the trolling motors, and I'm personally going to be against it. And I think that the club should put it up to a vote for everyone to vote on in the club. I also think that that anyone who believes that you don't have an advantage by having a trolling motor to someone who doesn't is going to, it does have a big advantage because you can get there faster than I can. And I know you say, oh, Steve, he paddles, 4 miles an hour. Yeah, he does. Not everybody can paddle 4 miles an hour. Not everybody's, and I know you're talking about $150 for a trolling motor. Dude, those things y'all got $2,000 a piece now or something like that, $1,500. I just really am against this because, like Brendan was saying, we're kind of grassroots. It's all human powered. I wake up at 2 a.m. to get to some of the spots I fish. Now, with a trolling motor, like Brendan said, I'm going to go hit Bay Schofield, come back in. Oh, I can go fish my other spots close in, no problem. But if you got to do that physically, you're not going to make it. You know what I'm saying? It's a time thing. Because with a kayak, your average speed is most probably for the average person. I think it's 3.2 in a Hobie anyway. I don't know about paddle boats, but it's just not. It's just not a good thing. I know they're using it in the bass tournaments and all of that. I know at least 4 of the board members have them, right?
2.
2? All right.
2.
Well, still, the kayaking, it's like Brendan said, man, it's more, you're going to have more of an advantage of it. And anyone who doesn't think that, you're really wrong on that, And I think y'all are trying, but wait. You're trying to increase members to come fish the tournaments. Well, that's not the way to do that, man. It's just people get intimidated by people who have hobbies, you know. So that's just the way I feel. I wanted to put it out there to you. I don't agree with it. I think it should go up to vote amongst the members.
Yeah, that's a fair challenge, Eric. I would say that I think people probably put a lot more faith in a motor than what they think it actually will do. And I think that my eyes were kind of opened up fishing with Jack and with Ben at the Southeast Louisiana kayak group. A lot of those guys had motors. The majority of them had motors. And the people who won were the same people who would have won whether they had a motor or they didn't, and they didn't have motors.
Right. I know what a motor could do. You know what I mean? You can't. You can keep what you said. They do 4 miles an hour on your boat.
Oh, you can go faster than that if you pin it 100%, but you're not going to go that fast all day long.
Okay,
it's a lot of weight on your kayak too.
Right. All right, cool. So you can consistently keep up 4 miles an hour the entire day, everywhere you go. You know, you're not getting physically tired like the other guy who, you know, like me, if I don't have a motor, you know, hey man, I get tired, dude. You know what I'm saying? We're fishing 8 hours on the water and stuff. It's a toll on your body. It's a physical thing, you know, as everyone knows who's fished these tournaments. Right.
But if we're talking about physical advantages, there are a lot of people that have physical advantages over others too. I could pedal my Outback for 4.5 miles an hour all day.
Right. I can't. You know what I mean? I can't do that. I can keep it at 3 though. So, you know, that's but I'm in a bigger boat too. But right, it's different. Depends on the person. So look, man, I'm just saying, put it up to vote to the club, and you know, to the people in the club. And I really think that this is going to hurt people signing up for the tournaments. If you're trying to increase tournament stuff, you know, the membership signing up for whatever, I think people are going to feel at a big disadvantage of it. And that's just my opinion. I'd like to see it go up to vote.
I don't know if you heard earlier, this is a trial run only for Paddlepalooza. This is not for all the Bayou Coast tournaments. This is a one-time deal to see how it's taken. So based on the feedback we get, then, you know, we'll go accordingly from that. So if people don't like it, people don't sign up for Paddlepalooza. They don't want to fish Paddlepalooza because they think that people with motors are going to run the show and everybody's going to win is going to have motors. Then we won't have them in the future.
No, but you do admit that it's another tool to use in your arsenal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, of course.
Yeah,
and not everybody's got $1,500 to throw out on the back of the kayak. You know, I'm just saying that too. You know,
I agree, but just like not everybody has $3,000-$4,000 to have on a Hobie either. There's a lot of people out there that have, you know, very inexpensive kayaks that have a motor, a trolling motor on it, and that's all they have, and that's a lot less cost than a Hobie is, or a Jackson, or whatever brand pedal kayak.
Whatever brand, I get what you're saying.
And that's the whole point we're trying to say is there are a lot of those people that reach out to us and ask us why we don't allow it. We explain it, and you know, we feel like we're kind of at a point right now where there are enough people out there asking that are interested in joining the club, fishing with the club, that it's worth a shot. And I don't think it's that big a deal to ask just to try it one time and see what people think.
No, but what about this? If you're fishing with a trolling motor, you have a separate division for that. Just like you have the over 60 group or whatever, then you have the ladies group and the children's group, have a motorized group.
Yeah, maybe we've talked about that.
I mean, that'd be the best. That'd solve all the problems, but still keep the prizes at the heart of our club where we started from. Before there was even motors, you know, and depth finders and everything else. Man, I was fishing out of a pirogue when we started back in the day, 2005, 2006, whatever that was.
Should we not allow any of that though? Like you said, I said, should we not allow any of that stuff either though? Since like the club didn't start with any of that, like should we not allow
about the depth finders and stuff?
Yeah, depth finders, power poles, any of that.
Yeah, you can use them. I don't use them. You know, I don't have any of that on my boat.
It's,
I pick strictly stripped down.
To me, it's the same discussion that was had a while back with pedal kayaks versus paddle kayaks when pedal kayaks came out. And I think that any reasonable person would say that having pedals on a kayak is a tremendously larger advantage than having a motor on a kayak that already has pedals.
And I agree with you on that. I totally do. I mean, you can look at who wins most of the tournaments. They're usually in a Hobie.
It's probably still going to.
Usually,
I hate to say it, but it's still probably going to be a lot of the same people, whether or not they have a motor or not.
All right, but I'm just saying, you can cover distance with a motor where you can't cover it with the thing, just like Brendan said.
I think that's definitely true.
Eric, I have one question. Where exactly is this Schofield Bay? And what's the best way to, because now that I've heard you and Brendan both mention it, I really want to go fish it.
That's where I was raised at. It's out of Empire. There's nothing but open water out there now. It's all open water. And
so
used to be a beautiful place.
Schofield Bay wouldn't even be in play for Paddlepalooza, right?
No. Well, I mean, I guess since, I don't know how, let me think. At 30 miles an hour from Grand Isle, it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that.
30 miles an hour. Okay. So,
yeah.
So, so we're 3 miles an hour. So it's 10 hours or so.
Right. Right.
It's not going to happen.
I mean, we've paddled out to the coast out there from Empire before. It's not fun.
Right.
What I mean? And that's your whole day. You just like Brendan said, oh, well, now I went here, boom. Now, oh, well, I can cruise back this way. No problem. That's another advantage to the motor with the pedal. If you put your time into going out there, you are committed to that area. You cannot just pick up and leave, and go somewhere else. I understand you got to travel with the motor too, but anyway, I'm just telling you, I don't think it's a good idea. I think people aren't going to sign up because of it.
Yeah. Oh, I promise you, I'm just saying hypothetically, if we had motors, I think Paddlepalooza probably won't play as much. That's why one of the reasons why we decided we wanted to try it here. But on Down 23, there will be people that if they had a motor and they were allowed to use it, they'll go fish the Empire Jetties, they'll fish Schofield Bay, they'll go to the mouth of the river, fish Sandy Point, all those areas. And a lot of those people are going to waste their entire day because they're not going to catch a slam and they're not going to win.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like people will when they fish close to the ramp or within a couple miles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. That's all I wanted to say. I don't agree with it. And I would like to see it up to a vote if, y'all decide that you want to do whatever. And I think there's a lot of other people who feel the way I do about voting on it.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate your comments.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm a member of the club, and always your opinions are valuable. Perfect.
All right, guys. Y'all be good. I don't know how to get out of this thing now. So, all right. Thank y'all. Peace.
Later, y'all.
Later.
All right. I love motors. All right.
Motors.
Yeah. So unless you're going to Schofield Bay, which is the place you want to go, which I am really going to check out now and find out where is Schofield Bay and why haven't I fished it before. I think that's everything.
I'll show you on the map later.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that's everything. Well, for those not out there, Trout Challenge registration's up. Go ahead and register. Registration for Paddlepalooza should be up here in the next week or so. Make sure you register early so you can guarantee your shirt size. Anything else, Jonathan, y'all want to mention?
I think that's it.
Okay.
I posted that, just posted a thread, I guess you call it, on the Facebook group. So if anybody wants to record their thoughts there, post it there so we can keep everything all in one place.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Feel free. Always, there's a thread on Facebook now. You can, maybe we can post the changes up there on Facebook at some point so people can comment on it. keep it as a marked thread just to get everyone's opinions. Got a lot of comments tonight, but a lot of people couldn't make it tonight, so they'll certainly want to see what's going on. But again, the board values your opinion. The board is here to serve the members of Bayou Coast, and anytime we do anything, it is honestly, and working with a lot of these people, it is because the board believes that is what's best for the club, and they do it for the club, not for any personal interest. I can tell you that. And friendships have been ruined because of this. I can say that as much, because everyone wants to do what's best for the club. So anyway, thanks everyone for coming on tonight. Sign up for Trout Challenge, sign up for Paddlepalooza. If you want to go bass fishing this weekend, sign up at Swamp Country on Attorney X to go hit Bayou Bienvenue with us. So thanks again, and we will chat with y'all soon.
Later, y'all.
Later.